Hi, my name is Brianna Melson, and I am going to present on my assignment 2, the prompt hierarchy. So, the prompt hierarchy. What is a prompt? So, a prompt is an additional stimulus or additional support that is used to evoke the correct response with our clients, learners, whatever the setting. We can think of a prompt as a cue for the learner to help them achieve the correct responses. And eventually, prompts can be faded, and the learner will correctly respond without the need for the additional support. So, why are prompts important? Prompts can allow us to assist learners in engaging in the desired behaviors, finding the correct response. They can also assist in skill acquisition, increasing the rate of responding, and decreasing learner frustration. So this visual here is the prompt hierarchy. Each level is a different level of prompting, and I will explain each of them in the following slides. Before we get to that, uh, as noted on the visual, there is most to least prompting and least to most prompting. So with most to least prompting, this begins at the highest level of prompting and gradually fading until the responses are independent. So typically, most to least prompting starts with physical guidance, then moves to visual prompts, and then that moves to verbal prompts, and then eventually the natural stimulus or the natural SD can be delivered without prompts, and the learner will give us the correct response. And then there is least to most prompting, and this begins with the lowest level of prompting and increasing the level of prompting, which each successive trial without a correct response. So this typically looks like starting out with the natural SD, then moving to verbal prompts, then moving to gestural prompts, and then moving to physical prompts. So with physical prompts, I have a few examples here. So there are full physical prompts, which is guiding the learner's movement through the entire response. So in this picture, let's say my SD is touch corn, and I might hand over hand the learner to touch the picture of corn. And then in the next example, there's partial physical prompting, and this is partially guiding the learner's response. So this can look like prompting them at the elbow, maybe sometimes tapping their hand to kind of cue them to move, cue their movement to make the response. Um, Next, there is modeling. I have a video example here. So again, let's say my SD is touch the corn. As the instructor, I'm going to touch corn and then hope that my learner imitates that response. So there are two types of modeling. There are planned models and unplanned models, and they are kind of self-explanatory. But planned models are prearranged demonstrations. And then there are unplanned models, which are models that occur every day in our social environments. And when I read about unplanned models, I thought of like say that there is a new traffic pattern and I'm driving and I don't know which way to go. I might follow the car in front of me as a model. And then there are gestural prompts. So gestural prompts cue the learner that they should engage in a certain behavior and guides them to the correct response. So again, if my SD is touch corn, I may gesture towards the corn to show my learner, hey, like this is the right answer. This is the one you should be touching. Moving on, there are verbal prompts. Verbal prompts use functionally appropriate verbal instruction as a support to cue a correct response. So my example here, so the learner is reviewing sight words and the sight word is go. So as the instructor, I might say read it. And after 3 seconds of no response or an incorrect response, I might say read it g and give them that prompt. And then the g prompts the learner's response to say go. Visual prompts, just as they sound, a picture or a series of picture that cue the correct response. So my example here is a visual for washing hands. So say I take my learner to the sink and I'm like, okay, we need to wash our hands. They would follow along with each visual to cue them to act accordingly. And then our last level, well, not really a level of prompting, but the last part of the prompt hierarchy is independent. So as I said, this is not a prompt, but it is at this point that the learner is completing the task or selecting the correct response on their own independently without any level of prompting. And these are the references I used in my presentation. Thank you.